What's up, nerds and nerdettes? It is I, your boy, the OG GM, coming to you live, large and in charge from a small island off the coast of Costa Rica, affectionately referred to as Site B. It is the 12th day of March. It is about 9 o'clock, not March, June. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. I need more caffeine, obviously. I hate mornings. I should just do this at the evening. Take two. It's Monday. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. It's the 12th day of June in the year of our Lord John Cena 2023. You can't see him. And it's time to chart our course for the week by taking a look at all the tabletop role-playing game news and controversies that are percolating this Monday morning that have nothing to do with Wizards of the Coast, except our first story might have something to do with Wizards of the Coast. So, as you can see, if you even care, Drive-Thru RPG, this story comes to me from my friend over at Tabletop Taproom, link down below. Please help this guy reach 1,000 subs. He is your number one source for all new TSR news and all the weirdness that I tend to meet. So if you ever want to know where I get some of my news from, he's one of my sources. So link down below, check out Tabletop Taproom. Drive-Thru RPG has changed their partner page. So this is the partner page. And it now refers to us as partners. Before we were just merchants or sellers, but now we are partners. There is a new partners relation email. There's a new partner relation page. The page has been changed. Every reference previously to stores or whatever, or merchants, we're now partners. Does this mean WRETCHED RPG will now be able to put their stuff back on Drive-Thru? Since, as we know, they were banned from Drive-Thru for being no. Doesn't mean anything at all. Why did they change the name? Well, I can't tell you because there's no explanation. It just says visit our partner knowledge base. When we visit the partner knowledge base, it just says the same thing it's always said. How to do stuff and how to load stuff and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't say why or they changed the name or what, if anything, changing the name means. Now, could this have something to do with the OGL nonsense of the beginning of the year? One of the many things, if you remember correctly, about the whole OGL nonsense was Wizards of the Coast trying to gain control over all the digital third-party publishers of their product and gain control of all the money that all the third-party publishers of their product like Drive-Thru makes, and also making it much more difficult for people like you or me or Steve to publish stuff on third-party RPG sites like this one without Wizards of the Coast getting all the money and having all the control. So that was one of the many reasons we were so upset during the January OGL Manic Panic, where we were like, oh no, let these people continue to be able to make stuff for 5e. And of course, all the 5e people were calling us horrible, awful names because we were trying to kill D&D. And it's like, no, idiot. What we're trying to do is make sure you can still play D&D the way you like it. And you can still create product for D&D the way you want to without Wizards of the Coast having full control over it. So yeah, they've changed the name to partner. And this might be because they're trying to distance themselves from what happened in January, or it might mean nothing at all. Add to that, there's now a rumor circulating that Wizards of the Coast is trying to shut down Drive-Thru and DM's Guild, specifically DM's Guild, because DM's Guild is technically canon, officially sponsored site. It is the site for all the RPG Adventure League D20 stuff and a lot of the third-party D20 stuff that is technically considered canon, like the alternate Forgotten Realms stuff, or, all these new races and classes that I talk about every week for the bundles and the freebies. Those are all 5e technically official, and all the Adventurers Guild stuff is over on DM's Guild. Well, now it looks like the Wizards of the Coast might be trying to shut down DM's Guild. We don't know a lot about this one yet. It's just a hint of a whisper. But in their attempt to transfer product from a third party to complete control over D&D Beyond, this is a third-party site that they might want to shut down. I know I said we didn't have any Wizards of the Coast news, but this does affect Drive-Thru and DM's Guild, so technically it is Wizards of the Coast news, because God forbid we make it a whole month without Wizards of the Coast even suggesting the possibility of a whisper of doing something dumb. All right, what else is going on in the world today that has nothing to do with Wizards of the Coast? I'm sure there is something. Is Daggerheart based upon Blades in the Dark? I do not believe so. Mercer has not said. I am guessing, but little we know we do. It is probably going to be D20, but I cannot say for 100%. So we don't know if Daggerheart is going to use Illuminated Worlds, or its own separate system. The way he talks about it, it sounds like it's going to be its own separate system. Is it still in Portuguese before it realizes the reader is located in the UK? I don't know. So what happens if people don't return to D&D Beyond because of this? Well, according to Lorraine Williams, or whatever her name is, Catherine Williams, D&D Beyond's fine, because based upon her Scott Steiner math, at any given time, there is anywhere between 15 million to 38 million people using D&D Beyond, despite the fact that it lost 5 million plus subs in January and never got those 5 million subs back. There are 15 million people and 30 million people logged on to D&D Beyond at the exact same time, even though there's actually 5 million people less, and they've never recovered those. So what will happen to D&D Beyond? I mean, they're not going to take it down. It'll be up there. Whether they continue to support it or not when the VTT goes live, who knows? But the Wizards of the Coast Dungeons and Dragons site is down. Damn you for getting me to talk about Wizards of the Coast and the non-Wizards of the Coast part of the news. Curse you! Curse you, Dark Winter! All right. The Starfinder, Pathfinder, Dynamite comics are official. They hit their Kickstarter goal, succeeded the Kickstarter goal. Dynamite Comics will be able to continue the Pathfinder, Starfinder comics that they've been making, as well as crossovers. They're going to be doing a GM screen. They're going to be doing some crossover adventures. Does this mean we'll see Jungle Girl and Vampy in the world of Pathfinder? Could you imagine that? The Pathfinder iconic characters coming across Vampirella? I guess this now means, by the logic, that Vampirella is now canon as a character that exists in Pathfinder and Starfinder, because the comic book company is doing adventures based upon Pathfinder and Starfinder, and one of them is a crossover with the characters from Dynamite, which includes his Vampy. So, hey, congratulations, Vampirella. You're now a character in Starfinder/Pathfinder. Origins is coming up, which means it's time to take a look at awards. There's 15 categories this year, 2 for tabletop role-playing, and the rest for other stuff like board games and stuff like that. Let's see if we have a announcement yet for who the finalists are. Game of the year is blah, blah, blah. A lot of board games. Nothing role-playing is nominated for Gaming of the Year. The starter set for Dungeons & Dragons is being nominated. That's the first time in 10 years a Dungeons & Dragons product has been nominated for. We've got also the Magic the Gathering Universe Beyond Warhammer 400K Commander deck. You know, these games have nothing in common, right? Board game, role-playing game, board game, card game, video game, art book, board game, supplement. Okay. So Origins, you just lost some of my faith in you, or whoever came up with this has no idea what the difference is. But anyways, the nominees are Boop, a board game, Castle Panic, a board game, Decorum, a board game, Dungeons & Dragons, Dragons of Stormwick Isle starter set, a D&D type game, Flamecraft, a board game, Magic the Gathering Universe Beyond Warhammer 40K Commander deck, a card game, Star Wars Pandemic Clone Wars, Pandemic is a board game. Teldari Campaign Setting Reborn, that's a setting book, art book. The Spill, that's a video game. Lost Tomb of Munters is a supplement for a 5e game. So that's not even a game, dude. So yeah, I guess Origins is smoking the whatever. Okay, best board games are Castle Panic, Creature Comfort, Flamecraft, Longshot, and Finest Fish. Nominees for best strategy game are Evergreen, Foundations of Rome, Halamapumpkus, Planet Unknown, and Three Sisters. The best themed games are Dead Reckoning, Merchants of the Dark Road, My Father's Work, Tokyo Sidekick, and Wonderland War. The nominees for best card games are Cat in the Box, Scout, Sea Salt and Pepper, Turning Machines, Undernauts, Stalingrad. By the way, Dead Reckoning is a video game. Nominated for children's games, Castle Panic, Disney Goofy Game, Honk, The Lunchroom Game, Turtle Splash. Nominees for CCGs is Flesh and Blood, Magic, HeroClix, and Houdini versus Genie, which is a card game. Miniature game nominees are Lion Rampant, which is not a miniature game, Northgard, Enchanted Lands, Omnicron Polyverse, the Polyverse sci-fi miniature system that's not a game, it's a rule system, and Rapture, which is a supplement for a game. Our RPG Gore nominees are Blackbirds. I don't even know what that is. It's a gothic fantasy RPG. Okay. Blade Runner, the role-playing game. You remember Blade Runner, the most anticipated role-playing game of 2022. Coyote and Crow, which came out a long time ago and has recently got itself a lot of trouble. Tea Time Adventures and The One Ring, which came out a year ago. Nominees for Best RPG Supplement for the Origins Awards: Agents of Dune, the Blade Runner Starter Set, the Fallout Starter Set, Warhammer Fantasy Enemy Within Volume 5, and the Zweihander Supplement. I don't know if those count as supplements. The top accessory is the Call to Adventure Art Deck, Deluxe Board Game Trade Sets, Power Rangers, Zordon, Dice Towers, and GM Screen, the Deck of Animated Conditions, and the Deck of Many Animated Illusions. There is no connection between any of those. We have some winners for 2D and 3D art. Nobody cares. Graphic design. Nobody cares. And there's now awards for people who reviews. That doesn't even make sense. So now somebody's going to get a reward for reviewing another game. Congratulations, dude. Your one-page review of the OGGM game is the best review we read this year of that one specific game. Here's your reward and your coupon. See you next year. Okay, so Origins Game Awards. First time in 2 years this is back, and it looks like a fuster pluck. Because there's just no rhyme or reason to these nominees. Many of the categories are wrong. It is obvious whoever set this up has no idea what they're talking about. So shame on you. Origins, shame on you. We expect better from you than this mess. But congratulations, Wizards of the Coast. For the first time in like 10 years, you're nominated for an award. Let's see if you win it. Moving on. Hey, we've got Lower Decks coming to Mophidius. That's right. There's a Lower Decks campaign guide and some Lower Deck adventures set in the 2D20 Star Trek world. If you're not familiar with Lower Decks, it's an animated cartoon on Paramount. It takes place in the Star Trek world sometime after Voyager. It's similar to, Rick and Morty style of self-referential, multi-layer, ridiculous, half comedy, half action cartoon, semi-adult stuff. It features all the other characters that you see in Star Trek. The guy behind them, the guys are. So yeah, it's all these guys, and it's supposed to be really good. So I've never watched it because I don't have Paramount, but I hear nothing but good things about it. And now it looks like we are embracing that animated cartoon by making a board game role-playing stuff out of it from our friends over at Mophidius. The award-winning third and final chapter of the Corellius Wake of Icons year-long adventure path is finally released from our friends over at Free League. Coriolis being one of the very first games that Free League ever placed. It's their alt-future sci-fi game. It's supposed to be excellent. I've never picked up a copy of it for my Free League collection. I always meant to, but, it's usually never in stock. So if you've been following this 2-year-long story, you can pick this up now. It's available. Battletech is doing stuff for Pride. They've got a Pride anthology, which great, Battletech, great. I'm glad that you are giving LGBTQT notification and an anthology of Pride-themed Battletech adventures Are you going to continue to do this through the rest of the year, or are you just jumping on the, well, it's Pride Month, so we should acknowledge LGBTQT and then ignore them? And what about other things? What about other individuals or groups or charities or holidays? You're going to do themes all year long? You're going to do a Halloween theme Battletech? You're going to do a Hanukkah themed? You can't just pick one and then ignore the rest. You either got to support them all, or you just got to remain neutral and say, you know what? My game is my game. I have no politics in my game. Judge me at the quality of my game. If you're trans and want to play my game, great. I 100% support you. If you don't like trans people, but you still want to play my game, you know what? I will still take your money. And for all those companies out there who are telling people they're horrible, awful humans who need to kill themselves and you don't want their money, please remember that I, the OG GM, think you are all wonderful human beings, and I will gladly take your money, no matter what it is, or who it is, or where it is. I am a sellout. I am a greedy little gremlin. So if you don't want to you don't want their money, Battletech, I'll take it. Catalyst Games has also jumped in with doing some Reddit stuff for Battletech. I'm pretty much sure that Battletech has always had a Reddit, so I don't know why you need to let us know this unless you're somehow going to start enforcing some new rules on the Battletech Reddit, where I guess people can't say no things about whatever Catalyst Games cause of the week is. How dare you say bad things about the OSR? Blah, 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 blah. So that's it for all the tabletop role-playing game news that has nothing to do with Wizards of the Coast. God damn you for getting me to talk about Wizards of the Coast. I guess the only story that's really interesting is the Pathfinder, Starfinder comics reaching their Kickstarter. They're going to get published. Yes, people still make comic books. And Vampirella is now a canon character in Pathfinder because we know the logic is that if a company makes it, it is therefore canon in every one of their products. Peppa Pig is canon in every Hasbro product, including Dungeons & Dragons, by that silly theory. And the Origin Awards are up. Congratulations to all the nominees, even if it doesn't make sense. But hey, Wizards of the Coast has a product nominated for the first time in 10 years. So way to go, Wizards. Yay. That's it for the news. If you appreciate this content, let me know. If you don't appreciate this content, let me know. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, please subscribe. Help me hit 2,000 subs by the end of the year, and we will be back shortly with our regularly scheduled Wizards of the Coast nonsense. Till then, I'm the OG GM, and it looks like the sun's coming out. Yay!